The galaxy had grown quiet after the invention of teleportation. No more long journeys through space, no more dangerous battles fought across stars. The alien races believed that war had finally become impossible. Why fight, they thought, when you could simply teleport away from danger? But humans never trusted silence. When the Galactic Council announced the era of instant peace, humanity sat in silence. They watched as species like the Zelnari, the Drethi and the Valans destroyed their old fleets and scrapped every weapon older than teleporters. The Council called it progress. To humans, it sounded like a mistake waiting to happen. Earth withdrew from the Council soon after. No one understood why. The Council assumed humans were arrogant again, just another race clinging to its outdated pride. But the truth was different. Humanity was not done fighting. They simply learned that real strength was not shown in meetings or promises. It was hidden behind silence and shadows. Years later, when the first shots of the new war echoed across the stars, the galaxy finally learned what that silence meant. It began on the edge of the Valan border, an area known for trade and transport. The Drethi patrol fleet reported that a small human vessel was entering restricted space. They activated their teleport drives and surrounded it instantly. Easy, they thought. No one could resist teleportation. But when they tried to beam aboard the human ship, something went wrong. The teleport systems glitched. The coordinates scrambled. Crew members started vanishing mid-teleport. Half of them never reappeared. The rest returned screaming, their bodies fused with metal and light. The Drethi panicked. They fired energy beams, but their shots curved away, as if space itself refused to obey. Then, from the human ship, a sound emerged, deep, metallic, and terrifying. The railgun fired. No one in the galaxy had heard such a sound in centuries. It was not light. It was not plasma. It was the roar of pure kinetic energy tearing through the void. The Drethi flagship exploded before the sensors could even register impact. The rest of the fleet followed one by one, erased by invisible shots that traveled faster than any computer could track. Only one survivor remained, Captain Alara Voss of the Zelnari race. Her teleport drive jammed completely. Every button she pressed failed. She could do nothing but watch the light of the railgun flash again and again across the darkness, like a heartbeat from the end of time. Her ship twisted and fell apart in silence. Her escape pod ejected automatically, drifting among the wreckage. As she floated there, she saw something impossible. The human vessel was old, rusted, built with steel and armor plating from another century. No smooth teleport rings, no glowing hyperdrives, only massive magnetic coils surrounding a single cannon that stretched half the length of the ship. And yet, it moved like a beast. Every time it fired, the stars seemed to tremble. Ilara watched its engines burn with blue fire, and a single human voice echoed through her comms. "Teleportation failed, Captain?" "Good. You cannot run from physics." The transmission ended with static. Then the ship vanished. Not through teleportation, but through speed. Pure old-fashioned thrust. Alara's pod spun in silence. Her ship's systems were destroyed, but the emergency recorder still worked. She used it to send one final broadcast across the galaxy. Her voice shook as she spoke. "They call it Project Godhammer. They have returned." The message spread faster than any weapon. Within hours, every major fleet in the galaxy was on alert. Every teleport network began reporting strange failures. Quantum channels flickered. Ships disappeared mid-jump. The Council tried to contact Earth, but no answer came. The humans had gone dark. Days turned to weeks. Entire star systems fell silent. The alien empires started to panic. Their teleportation networks, the foundation of their civilization, began to collapse without explanation. Some scientists said it was a solar flare storm. Others said humans were interfering with the quantum fields that made teleportation possible, but no one could prove it. Then came the second attack. Zelnari defense base in orbit over Cora Prime detected a massive energy reading near the asteroid belt. They thought it was a teleport malfunction, but when they looked closer, they saw a streak of light, a projectile traveling so fast it burned through space itself. The railgun shot. It hit a battleship 3,000 kilometers away and split it in half. There was no warning. No shield could react. No teleport system could activate in time. The slug moved faster than thought. From that day, every species gave the human weapon a name in their own language: the sound of death. In council meetings, fear replaced pride. Generals shouted, demanding that humans surrender their ancient weapons. Diplomats begged for peace talks. But the humans sent only one message back, short and cold. Do not come closer. The council could not understand. Why would humans, who had access to teleportation, return to something so primitive? Why use a weapon that launched metal instead of energy? Why reject the convenience of instant travel for something built on recoil and thunder? The truth was simple. Humans never stopped believing in power that could not be hacked or shut down. They knew teleporters could be jammed, signals could be blocked, and energy could fail. But physics, magnetism, and speed, they were eternal. Captain Alara Voss, now rescued and living under protection, was called to testify before the council. When asked what she saw, she spoke slowly, her eyes still reflecting the light of that weapon. They did not use magic, she said. They used math. The council chamber fell silent. Every other race built machines to escape. Humans built machines to end escape. Outside, far beyond their hearing, human ships drifted silently across the dark. Old engines, heavy armor, and one long barrel pointing toward the stars. Humanity had shown its answer to the galaxy's peace. They did not believe in teleporters, because teleporters could fail. They believed in the one thing that never lied: momentum. And the galaxy was about to learn what happens when momentum belongs to mankind. Long before the galaxy knew the name, Project Godhammer, there were whispers among the old colonies of Mars, rumors of engineers who refused to stop building. They were not soldiers, not politicians, and not dreamers. They were the kind of people who looked at silence and saw potential destruction hidden behind it. Dr. Alden Rice was one of them. A quiet man in his 60s with gray eyes and hands that shook only when idle, he lived deep beneath the red Martian soil, inside a forgotten bunker from the old Earth wars. It was a place built before teleportation, before quantum links, when humanity still moved through the universe with sweat and steel. For decades, he and a small group of loyal workers, called the Metalborn, had stayed hidden from the Galactic Council. Officially, their base did not exist. Even Earth's own leaders had erased its coordinates from record, but Dr. Rice never stopped his work. He kept designing, testing, and improving something that no one else believed in anymore: railguns. To outsiders, it looked like obsession. But to Alden, it was survival. He had seen what teleportation did to people. It made them careless. When you can move anything, anywhere, in the blink of an eye, you forget the value of movement itself. You forget that the universe has rules and that every action still carries a cost. He believed that teleportation was not peace, it was blindness. Every day, Alden would walk past ancient blueprints pinned on the bunker walls, drawings of magnetic coils, old nuclear reactors, and iron shells capable of cutting through space armor. Each line told a story of the past, a reminder of when humanity was forced to earn every victory with calculation, not comfort. But the world above had changed. Mars was no longer the dusty outpost of old engineers. It had become a glowing city of teleport hubs and luxury stations. The new generations did not even know what a railgun was. Children thought it was a myth, a weapon of war from a darker time. Until the silence began. When teleportation failures spread across the galaxy, Mars was one of the few colonies still connected by physical transport. People began to whisper that the failures were not random. Someone was controlling them. Someone who had built something powerful enough to disturb the very fabric of teleportation. Then, one night, Alden Rice received a message. It came through an old radio line, one that had not been used for centuries. The voice was calm, almost mechanical. "Dr. Rice, the council is searching for you." "They know," he froze. Only one person still knew how to reach him through that channel, his former apprentice, Lieutenant Mara Dane. She had left the Metalborn years ago to serve in Earth's orbital command. If she was contacting him again, it meant the rumors had become truth. "They found Project Godhammer?" he asked quietly. "They found its shadow," Mara replied, "and they want to destroy it." The transmission cut out before he could answer. Alden turned to his team. "It has begun," he said. "Prepare the coils." The bunker came alive. Lights that had been dormant for years flickered on. Machines hissed and growled like sleeping beasts awakening. Massive barrels rose from underground, coated with frost from decades of silence. The engineers worked without speaking. They had waited their entire lives for this moment. Outside, dust storms raged across the Martian desert. Satellites above tried to scan the surface, but the electromagnetic field from the bunker distorted their sensors. To the galaxy, it looked like a dead zone. But beneath the red surface, humans were preparing something far greater than a weapon. They were building a message. The first test was small, a projectile the size of a coin. But when fired, it cut through several kilometers of rock before vanishing into orbit. The bunker shook. Every reading on the control panel turned red. The recoil nearly tore the entire chamber apart. Alden smiled for the first time in years. "It still listens," he said softly. The engineers cheered quietly, their faces lit by the glow of ancient screens. For them, this was not just science. It was faith, the kind that had built the pyramids, crossed oceans, and reached the stars. But outside Mars, fear was spreading faster than their signals. Alien intelligence networks began to intercept fragments of human communications. The Drethi called it a weapon of extinction. The Zelnari labeled it forbidden physics. The Council issued an emergency order banning all kinetic weapon research. It was too late. Hidden deep under the crust, the Metalborn had already constructed the largest magnetic accelerator in human history. A barrel stretching 20 kilometers across, aligned perfectly with the orbit of Jupiter. The old name engraved on the first coil read Godhammer 2. Alden Rice stood before it, his hand resting on the cold metal. "The galaxy believes teleportation made us weak," he said quietly to his team. "They forgot that we built teleporters. And before that, we built destruction itself." The first power surge hummed through the chamber, making the walls vibrate. He looked up at the control room window, where Mara Diane had finally arrived. Her eyes were full of fear and awe. "If we fire this," she said, "they will call it an act of war." "It is not war," Alden replied. "It is memory." At that moment, hundreds of Council drones entered Martian orbit, scanning for illegal weapon activity. They detected an impossible amount of magnetic energy, followed by silence. Then a single pulse left the surface, so strong that teleportation grids across the system blinked off instantly. No explosion followed. No fire. Just a signal. A message. Across space, every teleport beacon lit up with the same sentence, burned into its quantum code. "Before teleporters, we built railguns." The galaxy froze. Every race, every empire stopped to read the words appearing across their skies. And far below, on Mars, Dr. Alden Rice whispered, "Now they will remember who we were." The desert wind howled above the silent bunker as the engineers powered down their creation. The first test had already changed everything. The galaxy now knew that humanity had not vanished into peace. It had simply waited, measuring, calculating, and preparing to remind everyone that progress without respect for power always ends in disaster. Mars slept again under its red storms. But deep below, the railgun still hummed softly, like a heartbeat waiting for its command. The Council believed Mars would surrender. They were wrong. For 2 weeks, the Galactic Council surrounded the red planet with ships, their sleek silver hulls reflecting the faint light of Sol. Every vessel was armed not for battle, but for intimidation. No one expected humanity to fight back. They believed the humans would bow to logic, to the era of teleportation and peace. But humans had never bowed to peace when it came from fear. From his underground command room, Dr. Alden Rice watched the orbital feeds flicker with static. The electromagnetic field above the bunker was distorting every signal. Around him, the hum of the railgun's power coils grew louder with each second. His team, men and women who had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment, stood ready. "Charge level?" Alden asked. 71%, Mara replied, her voice steady but her hands trembling. "Magnetic field is stable. Target is locked." The room fell into silence except for the low growl of energy crawling through the rails. The weapon was so large it needed half the planet's power grid just to prepare a single shot. Alden looked at his reflection in the control panel glass. His face was lined, eyes hollow but alive with something ancient. Pride. "Then let history watch," he said. "Initiate test fire." Far above, in orbit, alien fleets picked up a sudden surge of power. Their scanners screamed warnings. Unidentified electromagnetic anomaly detected. The Council commander, an 8-eyed Valhari general named Solarek, leaned forward in disbelief. "What are they doing?" That energy output is impossible. Before he could finish the sentence, Mars itself seemed to shudder. A blinding white light burst from its surface, silent, pure, and endless. Then came the sound. A deep rolling thunder that traveled through the vacuum of space. Not as air vibration, but as raw electromagnetic force. The railgun fired. The projectile, a single slug of metal no larger than a human fist, left the barrel at nearly 1/10 the speed of light. It vanished before sensors could track it. A moment later, a Drethi battleship orbiting near Jupiter erupted into two perfect halves. The ship did not explode. It simply came apart, sliced by invisible force. The data feeds around the galaxy went blank. For 6 entire minutes, every teleportation system within 20 light-years failed. The universe went quiet. Down below, Alden and his team watched in silence. The bunker shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. One of the control panels overloaded and burst into flames. Mara rushed to extinguish it, shouting over the roar. "Recoil energy is destabilizing the substructure." "Hold it steady," Alden shouted back. "We are witnessing the impossible become real." Outside, Martian satellites recorded the shot's aftermath. The projectile kept going, piercing through asteroid fragments, vaporizing whatever lay in its path. It traveled so fast it began to bend the light around it, creating a ghostly trail across the sky. The galaxy would later call it the Lance of Humanity. In the orbital fleet, General Solaric stared at the destruction in horror. That was not teleportation. That was... He stopped. His voice failed him. His officers whispered the word that none of them wanted to believe. Railgun. As the shockwaves faded, a communication link opened across the council channels. A hologram flickered to life. It was Mara Dane standing in the control chamber, her face lit by the glow of the weapon's aftermath. "This was only a test," she said calmly. "We have no desire for war. But if you think teleportation will save you, think again." The transmission ended before the council could respond. Back in the bunker, Alden slumped into his chair, exhausted. "The world just changed," he whispered. Mara turned to him. "You know they will come for us now." "Yes," he said. "And when they do, they will bring teleporters." "They always bring teleporters," he smiled faintly. "And we built something that ends teleporters." Across the galaxy, the test fire became the only thing anyone talked about. Fleets stopped moving. Scientists tried to explain what had happened. Theories spread like wildfire. Some said the humans had discovered a way to distort teleportation fields with kinetic acceleration. Others believed they had learned how to weaponize gravity itself. None of them were right. The truth was simpler. Humans had just reminded the universe of what it had forgotten, that energy is temporary, but motion is eternal. Soon after, something even stranger occurred. Ships near Earth began reporting ghost signals. They claimed to hear faint echoes of a metallic hum, even when no weapons were present. Teleportation grids flickered near the solar system and then went dead completely. The Council, fearing another test, sent a spy vessel to observe Mars. But as it approached the planet, its teleport drive froze mid-cycle. The ship was trapped in half-space, neither fully real nor gone. The last transmission the crew sent was one line: "We can hear the railgun." Then silence. For days, the galaxy waited. Every government prepared their defenses, convinced that humans would strike again. Some planets went dark voluntarily, shutting down their teleport systems to avoid being seen by whatever interference the railgun caused. On Mars, Dr. Rice continued his work quietly. "We will not fire again," he told Mara. "Not yet. They must think we only wanted to prove a point." "But what point was that?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "That we are still here." He looked at the massive weapon behind them, the coils still glowing red from the test. The entire bunker smelled of ozone and burnt metal. It was beautiful, in a terrifying way. In his private log, Alden recorded his thoughts. Teleportation gave the galaxy comfort. Comfort made them forget fear. But fear is necessary. It reminds us to respect the universe. The railgun does not create fear. It restores it. He closed the log and sealed it under encryption. Outside, Mars continued to spin under a calm red sky. Dust storms swept across its plains, hiding the truth beneath layers of silence. But every few minutes, a faint tremor would ripple through the ground, a heartbeat from the machine below. And somewhere beyond the asteroid belt, that single metal slug continued its journey, racing endlessly through the void. It had no target, no destination. It was just moving, forever, faster than light could remember. The galaxy slept uneasily that night, dreaming of a weapon that could not be stopped, a weapon that ignored space itself. And for the first time in centuries, every alien empire looked toward Earth, not with arrogance, but with fear. They had forgotten what humans could do when the universe told them impossible. Now they remembered. The galaxy had not slept since the test fire. Entire civilizations trembled under the weight of what they had seen. The Council demanded answers. Fleets stood ready around Earth, waiting for any sign of aggression. Yet the humans remained quiet, too quiet. In that silence, fear grew. Every teleporter network across the core worlds began to fail without warning. Ships trying to jump near Sol vanished forever. Energy relays misfired. Some scientists whispered that humanity had found a way to jam space itself. Others believed something far worse, that humanity had not fired a weapon, but had awakened one, and then one night, the sky changed, across the galaxy. From the frozen moons of Zareth to the glowing nebulae of the outer rim, stars flickered. Every long-range transmission stopped. Space itself seemed to hold its breath. Then came a sound. A deep, low vibration that traveled through every communication channel at once. It was not a voice at first. It was rhythm, a pulse. Those who had heard the railgun test recognized it immediately. Humanity was speaking again. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, chaos erupted. Alien leaders shouted, demanded translations, cursed the silence. But when the static cleared, a holographic signal appeared, grainy, flickering, unmistakably human. An old man stood before them, Dr. Alden Rice. His gray hair framed a face calm as stone, his eyes reflecting the faint red of Mars behind him. He spoke slowly, his words traveling across every known channel, every ship, every planet. To those who watch from the safety of teleportation gates, you forgot what distance means. You forgot what power costs. You built your peace on a lie that you could escape war by bending space. But peace is not created by running. It is earned by remembering what can end you. He paused, letting the silence fill every corner of the galaxy. We built teleporters before any of you. We gave the galaxy the gift of instant travel, and then we saw what it did. You stopped building. You stopped thinking. You stopped fearing the laws that keep reality honest. He took a slow breath. So we built something that fear cannot pass through. We built Godhammer. The room full of alien diplomats froze. Some tried to speak, but their voices broke. Rice continued. You call us dangerous, but understand this, we do not fire to destroy. We fire to remind. Behind him, the massive coils of the railgun began to glow, not in aggression, but as demonstration. The entire sky above Mars shimmered with energy, and for a brief moment the planet looked alive, a heart beating beneath red dust. Teleportation is convenience. Railguns are consequence, and in this universe, consequence is eternal. The hologram flickered again, this time showing not Mars, but Earth. The cradle of humanity still blue and bright, surrounded by defense platforms and silent orbital rings. On each one, railgun towers stood like ancient guardians, cold, unmoving, watching. You thought we became quiet because we were weak, Rice said. We were quiet because we were preparing. Every silence was a warning, every stillness a choice. His voice lowered, and for the first time there was something almost sad in it. We will not attack. We will not invade. But if the galaxy ever again tries to control us through teleportation, through false peace, remember this sound. He raised his hand. A signal activated, and across every communication network across the light years of space, the sound of the railgun firing echoed once more, so deep and vast that even space itself seemed to shiver. It was not a weapon this time. It was a message. The slug was launched into the void, aimed at no one, destined for no planet. It was pure motion, an eternal reminder that humanity still moved faster than fear. The signal cut. The hologram vanished. Silence returned. In the council chamber, no one spoke. The Drethi ambassador finally whispered, "They can reach us from anywhere." The Zelnari representative, Ilara Voss, the same woman who once watched her fleet die, closed her eyes. "No," she said softly. "They do not want to reach us. They want us to remember them." Years passed. The galaxy adapted. Teleportation grids were redesigned to avoid human sectors. Treaties were rewritten. No one dared to challenge Earth again. Instead, humanity was given a new title, the Architects of Distance, because where others used shortcuts, humans used precision. Where others hid behind technology, humans trusted the simplicity of motion. Dr. Alden Rice never spoke publicly again. He vanished into the red storms of Mars, leaving behind nothing but his machines and a small metal plaque inside the Godhammer chamber. It read, "We were born from recoil. We evolved from momentum, and we will endure through force." Decades later, children across the galaxy would stare at holograms of the ancient railgun and ask their teachers, "Why did humans build such a thing?" The teachers would answer, "Because they were afraid of forgetting what they could do without teleporters." And somewhere in the dark between stars, the original test projectile, fired long ago, was still moving endlessly, silently, faster than any eye could follow. Some say it carried no weapon, no signal, only a recording, a voice that whispered through the vacuum. Before teleporters, we built railguns. Ilara Voss, now an old commander living alone on a distant moon, often looked at the night sky and thought about that sound, the metallic roar that once tore her ship apart. Yet in that destruction, she had seen something beautiful, humanity's refusal to be still. She smiled faintly and said to herself, "They were not warning us. They were reminding the stars to stay awake." Far away in the silence between suns, a faint tremor pulsed through the void, not loud, not violent, just steady, the heartbeat of a species that never stopped moving, and the galaxy listened.